Good morning, everybody, and this is your S&P 500 day trade setups for today. So a couple of key things here, and I think we're at a crossroad, and we had a fairly interesting crossroad on the S&P. And you can see we've made a new high, we made a new low, we've made a lower high, double top, that played out, and now we have made a higher low. And this pin bar is the higher low, we've got above it. Well, I suppose I can't say we've got above it yet because this 8-hour bar is still in play. We're coming up to test some structure. Now, what has been transpiring is we have been breaking through structure without even blinking an eye. So it hasn't been measured. So you see the move up was pretty strong and measured. You pull back onto structure, get the opportunity to buy, and gradually move to the upside. Then it started getting a bit volatile, getting more and more volatile, and now we've got these massive swings at the moment in play. So often, you expect when you get into a top, you expect it to tighten up, and when you tighten up, you see smaller moves, smaller moves, smaller moves. You've got a grouping of your oscillators like this, and then you move to the downside. You don't see this with your oscillators when you get into top. This is what you see when you're in a range. So are we in a range? Well, we are going sideways, but by the looks of things, sideways to down. The 155 is holding up with support, and it does look like we're getting a bit of a crossover here. The minute we start moving down through the time frames, you're going to see levels being breached pretty much on every day or every week. We've got major levels being breached. So each of these tails would be a level, and you can see we're not even found there. We found support on the one, but it turned out to be a double top. And then moving to the downside, there's nothing really there. At the moment, I'm kind of sit on hands. I think this triangle that's forming at the moment, we've got the jobs number coming out this afternoon. We had Bitcoin crash yesterday. And Bitcoin crashed basically because China is banning cryptocurrencies for, I think, the 20th time or something in the last couple of years. And then the retail traders leverage on the market, so there's a lot of fears there. And then in the indexes, we had the Fed minutes come out, and there is some kind of rumblings around easing of tapering because of the inflation fears at the moment. So who knows? For me, if we just come back to the 8-hour here, the next logical pullback, which I think is going to be a big psychological barrier as well, is going to be 4,000. So that would be an area for me where I would be looking to see what's going to happen. If we do get below 4,000 and sort of test that environment, you probably find us falling a bit further. But if we do get down to 4,000 and test this area, that may actually present a fairly decent buying opportunity. So getting to the hour, yesterday we had this continuation to downside. We didn't really get an opportunity to sell into this, and we had a solid grouping of the oscillators to downside, so you're always expecting some kind of a pullback. Pullback came going into the close. Look at my oscillators now. So I would expect us to kind of reject some level. It doesn't look like we're going to reject this level. We may at 41.13. So basically the 4100 is what we're flirting with at the moment. If we stay below that, I think you're probably going to find us coming to find this trend line at the downside. And if that gives way, you are then looking at 4,000 to the downside. So at the moment, just with this structure going into close yesterday, I'm not entirely convinced. And it's also given us a pin bar on the daily. See, there's a pretty strong pin bar there. So you've got an inside bar and then you've got a pin bar. I think we've got to get above 4,200 before we can actually get back into bull mode. But at the moment, it is consolidation on the higher time frames, and the lower time frames is also looks like it may push the downside, but I'm not entirely convinced of that just yet. We're going to have to start dropping below the low of yesterday, and then possibly the low of last week before we start looking for some stronger move like this to the downside. But anyway, I think you do have opportunities to scalp this at the moment on the 15-minute. But again, look at yesterday's price action. Not something I like trading. Nice measured, structured move to the downside. You could have actually traded this, just followed the trend until the US opened, and then just got out of it, because as the US opened, you can see it just became volatile. So yeah, I think for me, sitting on the sidelines, we've got the jobs number out. We'll see what that brings to the market today, and we'll take it from there. But at the moment, there's nothing really for me to trade here. Structure's not been adhered to, longs and shorts. It's just, there's no real price action structure, and when that happens, you typically get burnt more often than not when you're trying to stick to a set of rules. So you just got to wait for the volatility to die down and get everybody to calm down and pick a direction, and then be able to trade within that direction. Anyway, that's it for me. Bit of rambling this morning, but hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you later. Cheers for now.